Thus, a third American aircraft carrier, the USS George H.W. Bush, is sailing toward the Middle East, following a longer and more cautious route along the coast of Africa, avoiding the Red Sea, where terrorist groups backed by Iran pose a threat. Retired General Jack Keane is here with us. First correspondent Jennifer Griffin. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello, Marta. Iran's interior minister has ordered governors of border provinces to neutralize the naval blockade. Trump warned that Iranian attack boats would be destroyed if they approach American ships in the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. So it seems there is a standoff. The Zawara Navy currently has 18 ships in the Middle East, including the USS Tripoli, which carries Marines for search and seizure operations at sea. Que tentam deixar o estreito. The USS Michael Murphy and the USS Frank E. Peterson, two destroyers, entered the strait over the weekend to prepare for mine removal. Yesterday, the USS George H.W. Bush carrier strike group, which left Norfolk, Virginia on March 31st, rounded the southern tip of Africa after threats from the Houthis in the Red Sea and threats to close the Bab el-Mandeb Strait in support of Iran. Remember, between last March and May, the Pentagon launched Operation Ralph Ryder, a 6-week mission to reduce the Houthi threat to ships in the Red Sea. It cost more than $1 billion and is a concern for the U.S. stockpile. $200 million was spent on missiles in the first 3 weeks. The U.S. lost 7 MQ-9 Reaper drones, each costing $30 million, and 2 FA-18 fighter jets, each costing $50 million. CENTCOM hit more than 1,000 targets with these weapons, but the Houthis survived and now threaten global trade by closing the Bab el-Mandeb Strait in a way very similar to what they do in the Strait of Hormuz, Marta.
Okay, let's see what happens. Thank you, Jennifer Griffin.
We sent our 2 destroyers. Minesweeping operations are underway. What President Trump did was take away that advantage, take away from Iran the possibility of holding the economies of the whole world hostage. And now with this action, that's off the table.
With the ceasefire for another week, we will follow the developments day by day. Now we will see how to sweep the strait for mines and confirm if they are really there. Remember what the Iranians said, right? The area is dangerous, there are mines, and they warned international shippers, be careful. But the U.S. didn't find anything, and it's not even known if the Iranian report is true. Meanwhile, this is the international route you have to enter and leave the Persian Gulf. Here is Oman. Over there are the United Arab Emirates. This is Iran. The Iranians want you to go through here, close to their coast, between the islands, on the way in and out, and that way they could make some money. They would profit from this by ensuring payment from these carriers. Now, the U.S. Navy is trying to choke them off. What will the Iranians do? This is a possibility now. Types of mines that exist in the ocean today. There are floating mines and those anchored to the bottom. In shallow waters like those of the Persian Gulf, they would be very effective tools. There's also the limpet mine, which attaches to the side of a vessel. It can be very lethal if they explode. And you also have mines here on the ocean floor. We also have this animation to show you. These are sensor devices. On a United States Navy mission, actually, they can launch this device. A drone to navigate through the ocean and water to detect, identify, and destroy that sea mine before it becomes a hostile threat to the Navy that's trying to operate out there in the ocean. But so far, I want to emphasize that there have been no reports of any ship being hit or any mine being found.
But ships need to have insurance to be able to pass, and the insurers don't feel confident. Maybe that will change as our troops check everything and gain confidence. If millions of dollars in cargo are involved and there's an insurance issue, that's the problem. We'll have more on this with retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, former envoy to Ukraine and co-chairman of the America First Policy Institute's American Security Initiative. I want to show you 2 things. The Wall Street Journal editorial board says the blockade is a crisis in Iran. The economic damage is felt immediately, and it threatens the regime if it lasts. And here is Senior Malik. He is from the FDD. Look here.
They probably have about 13 to 15, 14, 16 days of storage capacity for the oil they can't export. I think that in a matter of 2 months, we'll see the regime really reaching the point where they can't pay salaries, and there will be riots and defections within the regime.
All right, let's hear your opinion, General. Good to see you.
Dana, good to see you. Thank you for the invitation. Look, I'm already on to the next step. What do I mean by the next step? If there is a blockade, we will consider whether it should be stopped or continued and what to add, which means not entering Iran, but taking Karg and Larak Islands and places like that with our Marines. Or maybe in the second era, transported or something like that. Iranians, if a ship passes by and a mine explodes, it's over for you. Enough of this. We're fed up with you. My concern is that we're still negotiating with an autocratic and theocratic government. Looking at people like the foreign minister Arashi, they're radical revolutionary guards. It's the youngest team in command. They're there. They were still indoctrinated over 40 years ago to hate America. That hasn't changed. So maybe we're dealing with some new regime realignment, but not a regime change over there. We need to consider that, and part of it is saying, we're tired of you. Enough of this. Let's change the dynamics of the Middle East for the next 30 or 40 years. We can sweep the Gulf right now with the minesweepers coming in. There are 4 in Japan. Bring them here, the LCS, the destroyers. As was shown, but which one will it be? Bill showed it in a great animation. But you know there's always a chance one could happen. In the Army, when you lay a minefield, you have to record it. In the Navy, we don't know what's out there. They're not disciplined enough to know where the mines are. We don't know. And what if there are some random mines out there? Yeah, it could happen.
All right, so Maria Bartiromo met with the president. I want to play a clip of that and ask you a specific question about who's in charge. First, the video. Take a look.
Music, it's a new regime, right? And we consider ourselves pretty reasonable, to be honest with you. Compared to them, pretty reasonable. I talk to everyone, but Zan is very effective. I think you all will have a great deal. I'm doing a great job for the country and for the world.
Currently, the Wall Street Journal says that the current Iranian regime has changed for the worse. The American-Israeli attack has fueled radicals and apocalyptic sects, threatening lasting peace. Over the weekend, reports from Islamabad said that those who actually attended these talks with Iran did not have the authority to make a decision or sign any agreement. Are we confident that we know who controls Iran and who has the authority to give us a yes or a no?
Bill, thank you. I don't think so. Now, here's an interesting dynamic that I noticed. Just in the last 2 days, you've seen President Pezeshkian really start to make some comments. In the past, the president of Iran was like a nobody. He didn't do anything. We went with the hard line of the Revolutionary Guard, but they sent Arakshi, who is their foreign minister. He is a hardliner. When he wrote the book about negotiations, giving President Trump all the credit, he did what no one else had done, changing the centuries-old dynamics of the Middle East. I just think I would like to see the work completed. Finished. Just get them out of there. It's not an adjustment, it's a regime change, but you can already start to see signs of it. When Pezeshkian makes comments and Arakshi doesn't make a decision, Khamenei hasn't spoken out, and the Revolutionary Guard answers to the supreme leader. There are 2 directions. There are organizations out there with military power. There's the army, as well as the Revolutionary Guard and the Basij. São os bandidos nas ruas. The Iranians have already killed more people now than we lost in the Korean War. And this has to stop. So the focus is on the people over there. I hope to see a more reasonable government with the stability of a normal nation, but that remains to be seen. We will let the blockade continue, but there will be a next step. If there is, I believe the president will take it.
General Keith Kellogg, thank you for being with us. With these developments, we want to hear your analysis.